Hey, it's Matthew Decker here, Leveraged Wealth Management. Today we're doing a review of the Symetra Accumulator Indexed Universal Life product. What I'd like to do is give you kind of the overview of this particular product, because when it comes to Index Universal Life, all these products have their own little niche. They're all trying to do something specific. They're trying to be the best at something specific, whether that's a certain age range, whether that's a premium amount. It might be the cheapest death benefit, the most income, the best cash accumulation. So all these products are going to be different. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of take this review step by step in terms of the policy provisions that I think are most important in a long-term contract. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through this Symetra product just kind of step by step. So headquartered out in Washington, but this is not a US-based company. Their parent company is over in Japan, big mutual life insurance company in Japan. And one thing about Symetra is they're a little bit newer to this space. So they don't quite have the track record that some of these other policies that you might see in the marketplace have. But overall, this is actually a product that I like quite a bit, and I think it has its place. So I'm excited to do this review. In terms of their financial ratings, they're pretty good. They're not a mutual company themselves, and they're not as high as some of the other big players in this space. But they are an A-rated carrier from AM Best. They get an A from Standard & Poor's, an A1 from Moody's. And so, in terms of financial stability, I'm comfortable with Symetra as a company in terms of their ability to pay claims and, back up what they say in some of these illustrations. So I want to take this step by step, and I want to start with the index options that are available. So Symetra has several different index strategies that are available. You can see they've got these base index strategies, they have these core index strategies, and then they also have select strategies. And I'm going to try to make it real simple. So all of these options are going to come with an S&P, a JP Morgan ETF, and a blended S&P JP Morgan index. And the only difference really between these different segments, base, core, and select, is what are the add-ons that are available. So the base strategy is going to come with lower caps, but they're going to give you a bonus, so 0.5% for the 1 year, which would be these two, or 1% bonus in the 2 year. And so that's just very simple. At the end of the year, they're going to give you either a 0.5% bonus, or they're going to give you a 1% bonus depending on the strategy that you choose. And the trade-off there is that you're going to accept lower caps on those index options because you're getting that bonus. So that's the base strategy. The core strategy is going to have higher caps than the base strategy, and they're going to give you the opportunity to lock in your interest earnings throughout the year. So that's the difference there. But the underlying index options are actually the same. It's the bells and whistles. So our select strategies are essentially coming at an additional cost, and for that additional cost, they're going to give you either higher caps or higher participation rates. And so that's the breakdown of these. The select strategies gives you the highest potential earnings. The core strategies give you the most flexibility because you can lock things in. And the base strategies give you, the most conservative approach because they come with that built-in bonus. So that's the breakdown of the three different sets of index options that are available. And then I will also add that this product does have a 2% guarantee. But I should clarify, the way that 2% guarantee works is they're going to look at your cash value on a rolling 8-year period. So they're going to block your policy into segments of 8 years, and they're going to make sure that over those 8 years, you got at least a 2% return. And if you didn't, they will true you up to the 2% return. I haven't really seen that come into play on any product in the last 10 to 15 years, but it is there, and it is nice that it's there because there's that built-in 2% guarantee on the rolling 8-year periods. And that 2% guarantee is regardless of which of the index options you choose. So here's what I'm talking about when we have our base options here. We've got a 775 cap on the S&P, and then the JP Morgan and the blended, they don't have any caps, and they have these participation rates that will either enhance or limit your growth. And so let's just real quickly just compare to make it easy. We'll compare the S&P option in the base versus the S&P option in the core. So we got a 775 cap on the base option, and we've got a 9% cap on the core option. So that's what I'm talking about there. The base option is your most conservative allocation that you can choose from. It has lower caps, but they give you that built-in bonus. If you're looking for more upside, you're not going to want to use the base options. And then if you want to pay extra, because for an additional fee, they will juice the S&P cap up to 1025. When it comes to the Symetra index options, I should say that pretty much everybody has an S&P based option. In fact, I'll just go ahead and say that every Index Universal Life carrier that is A-rated is going to have an S&P based index option. These other two are where Symetra is trying to be creative. And the only thing that I will say about this JP Morgan index is that it was started in 2011. And so on paper, it looks pretty good. But the reality is it hasn't been around that long. And so when we go to actually look at the historical performance of those products, and I'll get to the summary sheet here, that JP Morgan index is going to look better, but we have to, have a more critical eye than just kind of looking at what they say the averages are, because, the last 10 years have been really, really good. So here's what I'm talking about. Let's get this out of the way. So we've got our base options, S&P, and if we look at the 20 and 25 year average, 4.98, 5.22, and then the 10 year is the highest at 5.43. If we go down to the core options that has the higher cap, you can see that a higher cap corresponds with a higher rate. These two index options are exactly the same. The only difference is the cap. And this is why, in general, I am in favor of high caps over anything else, because you can see the direct result of having a high cap. It increases your average credit, and it does it on the 10 year as well, 6.3 versus 5.43. So that's material. That's a substantial difference there. And then the same thing is true of the select. You're paying for increased performance. But what I really want to highlight on this particular page is simply that these 10-year numbers look really good, especially when we look at this JP Morgan index. We'll just go here, the core, the blended option, 8.13% for the last 10 years. And so you may be tempted to look at 9% on the select. Maybe tempted to look at these index options and say, well, that's the one I'm going to go with because obviously it's got the best track record. But just step back for a second and realize that that's the last 10 years. It's only existed since 2011. And the last 10 years have been phenomenal. So, those numbers may be skewed a little bit. I would encourage you to always look at the longer time horizon numbers, the 20 and 25 year averages, simply because, that's going to give you a better understanding of how these products work through different market conditions, ups and downs and pullbacks, versus just the last 10 years has, almost been, a straight line up. If we take out, the coronavirus plunge there last year. If we're going to rate the index options available through Symetra, I'm probably going to give them just a solid B. A lot of companies have a pure S&P based index option, and that's all you can choose from, just varying iterations of the S&P by itself. They at least have some other index options that you can diversify into, and then they've got the three different buckets of the fixed bonus, the higher caps, or pay for even higher caps. So I like that. I give them a B, solid company in terms of the index options that are available to them. The next thing I want to talk about is, how do you access your money? It's one thing to get into one of these products for tax-free loans and withdrawals later on down the road, but how do you actually access the dollars once it's in there and it's been growing? That's important to know because not all companies are created equal. So they do have the same standard and participating loans that a lot of companies have, and their standard loan is essentially a wash loan after a certain period of time. What most people are going to use is this participating loan. That's where you're able to earn interest on the money that has been loaned to you. So there's a positive spread between the loan rate and your crediting rate if you can out earn the loan rate. So that's really important. And when it comes to these participating loans, companies are all over the map. And I really like the way that Symetra does it because they simply take that variable out of the equation. So a lot of companies will have a floating participating loan rate where they may be showing you a 4% rate in terms of what it costs you year by year to take a policy loan, but that 4% rate can go as high as 7 or 8%. Whole life companies do that oftentimes where they'll have a low loan rate today, but it can go as high as 7, 8%. And there's a couple out there that even just have like a 7 or 8% loan rate. So this Symetra product in their participating loan, they just simply say, hey, look, the current rate is 5, the maximum rate is 5. So they're taking one of those variables off the table, which I like because it is easier to project values if we know that this loan rate number isn't changing. And so I like that. From a loan standpoint, they have the standard loans, they have the participating loans. It's a fixed participating loan. We know exactly what it's going to be. I would give them an A- for their loan provisions. They don't have the same flexibility in terms of moving back and forth as other companies would have, but they've got the right loan provisions in place, and I like what I'm seeing here. When we get down to the actual policy illustration here, I'll just summarize it quickly. $150,000 a year for 7 years. So this is an asset reposition play. Have a lump sum of money somewhere else, want to get it into a tax-free vehicle. The fastest we can do it is over 7 years. In this particular design, this resulted in the best values. We've got our minimum death benefit of $2.3 million. This Symetra policy is generating $129,000 a year, tax-free for life, starting 18 years down the road. Now, what's interesting about this Symetra product is from a fee standpoint, they do a really good job of generating cash, and it's a relatively low fee index universal life insurance product. They let you blend in some term insurance as well, so that's great, also a positive. But where they actually really shine, in my opinion, is they play a really good middle ground company. And what I mean by that is they do a good job of generating income, not the best, but they do a good job of generating income. But what you'll see when we go to the next page here is they do a phenomenal job of leaving behind death benefit as well. So for people that are kind of in the in-between land of, hey, I would love to get something that's going to grow tax-free, maybe I can use it for this income stream like it's showing here, but I also am concerned about what I'm going to leave behind to my family or my beneficiaries, my wife, my kids, my college, whatever it is. I want to leave behind some money. This Symetra product, I believe, this is my opinion, I think it does the best job of blending these two goals, leaving behind death benefit and also giving you access to cash. So in this particular product, if we just look at like age 90, let's say, you've taken out $129,000 a year from age 62 to 90, and you still have a $1.4 million death benefit that's left over for whomever the beneficiary is on this contract. And that's a really high number from a death benefit standpoint relative to the other products in the marketplace, especially when we consider how much money we've actually taken out of this particular contract. So in this contract, $150,000 over 7 years, that's $1.05 million into the contract in total. We've taken out $129,000 for, what is that, 28 years, which is roughly $3.6 million. And we have a $1.4 million death benefit that's left over. So for the $1 million that went into this contract, it's essentially kicked out $5 million tax-free with no market risk. And that's a pretty high number. And so if you're somebody that is looking for this middle ground of a product where you're going to build cash, you're going to be able to generate income if you need to, if you want to, and yet you're still concerned about leaving behind death benefit, I think this is a really great product for that. I would consider this more of like a Swiss Army knife type product in this particular space. They're not so much focusing on one thing. They're trying to do a lot of different things really well. And case in point, we've talked about income and death benefit on this particular product, but one thing we haven't talked about is additional riders that are on this particular contract. So we should do that. This contract does come with terminal illness at no cost. It does come with chronic illness at no cost. It comes with the overloan protection rider at no cost. And it comes with these riders as well, charitable giving rider and no lapse guarantee rider. So this product really is doing a lot of different things. And I would say it's doing a lot of different things about as well as you can expect a Swiss Army knife to perform, right? If you are really looking for one thing and one thing only, then you don't want the product that's trying to do everything. But if you really are looking for a good middle of the road index universal life insurance contract that can be growing tax-free, it can be accessed tax-free, it's not going to be subject to market risk, and it's going to leave behind a decent death benefit, generate cash, this is a great product for that. And I would highly recommend it. Have no problems recommending this particular Symetra contract. So hopefully this has been helpful. There's gonna be more product reviews to come using this basic design here, this $150,000 for 7 years asset reposition. And over the course of rolling this out, you'll get to see how all these different products stack up next to each other under basically the same set of circumstances. So let me know what questions you have in the comments below. Let me know if there's other specific products that you'd like for me to review. I have been making a list of your recommendations and I'm gonna get to them as I can. So thank you for those recommendations. I do appreciate it. It helps me kind of organize the videos on this channel. If you haven't already done so, subscribe so you can be up to date on all the future videos that we put out. Like this video, share it to your friends and family. And until next time, take care.